and once again, welcome to our weekly table talk. Thank you, audience. And we are blessed this morning to have an amazing couple, Julie and Greg Alexander, who join us this morning for our conversation on life, on marriage, and their plans to complete a new building project. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say about that. So once again, audience, we're always blessed that we can continue to do this, especially in times of COVID-19, beginning last January, when we tried to create innovative ways to reach our people, certainly on FaceTime, through Facebook, through the parish website, and now Table Talk. So once again, Julie and Greg, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
We have a very enthusiastic audience who join us today from the Alexander House and their guests and friends. So thank you, audience, for joining us. Julie and Greg, how did you find St. Joseph Honey Creek?
Oh my goodness, many years ago after coming into town here, and of course we were visiting all the parishes in the Archdiocese here, and we just happened upon St. Joseph Honey Creek, and I still tell you, even till this day, the hospitality, the warmth that we experience here has just been incredible. And so it's been great now 2.5 years ago to really make this our home parish. So really excited to be here.
Yeah, and what really touched me is when we came to the daily chapel, and I saw the cowboys, the ranchers, the men with rosaries hanging out of their jean pockets and their cowboy boots. And I was like, this is amazing to see men. I mean, it's great because women are always praying the rosary, it seems, in church. But when I saw it was majority men and they were elderly men, I just was like, this is a place. It just seemed like it was St. Joseph's charisms coming to. It was incredible.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And as you say that, I can think of men like Gerald Cole. I can think of men like Nolan Way. I can think of men like Melvin, who wear denims and who wear the rosary beads sticking out of their jeans. So I can certainly identify with that. So that is a nice observation, knowing that we have amazing men and women, but in particular men who come in to pray for hours upon hours, their favourite prayer, the rosary. Now, I knew of you both by name many years ago, but I had never met you. But I have come to know you since you now are a part of St. Joseph Honey Creek. I knew you through your movement, Alexander House, and that goes back many years. Can you tell us what that was and what that is today?
Well, the Alexander House is a result of Julie and I bouncing back from the brink of divorce some 23 years ago now. And just briefly, it was after 10 years of marriage and living by the ways of the world, if you will, money, job, materialistic things, and in essence allowing those things to be our God. And with God being the jealous God that He is, He began to take many of those things away, which allowed us to literally hit rock bottom. And unfortunately, we would also allow for our happiness to reside in those things. And when we could no longer find the happiness in this stuff, we both started looking for that happiness in other people. So infidelity became a big part. And needless to say, when we discovered those secrets in our marriage, we just simply concluded that if we're having to resort to this kind of behavior, then there can't be much of a marriage left anyway. And I don't even know if it's what I wanted, Father, but I asked Julie for a divorce. And without hesitating, she immediately agreed. And so we thought we were heading down the road to divorce. But to make a long story short, we met this awesome priest that challenged us to go back and gain an understanding of God's plan for marriage, as opposed to what Greg and Julie thought it should be. And as we began to read and study and begin to pray for the first time in our married life, just this whole new world started opening up. And we felt not only called to come back together, but after learning much of what the church taught about marriage, we felt called to create an organization to help other couples come to learn and understand marriage as well. As we were starting to see that there were many people just as ignorant as we were, not having any clue or understanding that God indeed had a plan for marriage.
Why is society, why are so many men and women so consumed and subsumed by money, by wealth, by materialism?
Because they don't know Jesus Christ. It's as simple as that. It has been amazing with our ministry. And as you've often said, Father, for 21 years, we have been meeting with couples in our process called marriage discipleship. And when we meet with these couples, I'm telling you, it's all about, they show up at church and they'll come, but it's just for a check mark. It's like me. I went to church because I didn't want my mom and dad in Denver, Colorado to find out I didn't go to church. I mean, I didn't know about a relationship with God and a relationship with Jesus Christ. And when we started learning our faith and learning about marriage, it led Greg to really study everything there was about our faith. And when he started to teach me, everything changed. We're searching for that happiness in our lives and in our hearts that can only be fulfilled by God, and we try to put everything else in there. And so when the world screams its message, this will make you happy, this will be exciting, this will fulfill all your desires, and it can't be found in any of that stuff, you really start to realize that we've been lured into the understanding of it's not the world that brings happiness, but only God, Jesus Christ, the church, the teachings of the church. That's what brought us back to life, because we were literally spiritually dead.
And I think that's also kind of substantiated, if you will, in the homes, because all the parents want their kids to be successful, go to the best schools, get the great jobs, make a lot of money, give us grandchildren, and all those different things. And so the focus is always taken away from, as you had mentioned, God, Christ, and the church. It is always placed on those externals where, again, those things do bring a happiness, but it's not a long-term sustained happiness, if you will. But that's what people are pursuing. And what we're starting to see a lot of times with the couples that we work with is that after spending so many years of their life pursuing those things, they found, as we had discovered, that it doesn't bring that long-term happiness. And so they resort to the fact, well, then maybe we married the wrong person. Maybe I need to get out of this. Maybe I need to look elsewhere for that happiness that, as Julie mentioned, can only be found by allowing God to reside in the front and center of their marriages.
Now, Alexander House, that's still in operation, or has it changed its name or direction in recent years?
No, it's interesting. It stayed the same, the Alexander House. And part of the reason, Father, we put house in the name is because home is where we should have learned much of what we came to learn later about marriage. So we always knew that home had to be in the name, Alexander being our last name. It was in our house where we had discovered these secrets. So it is from the Alexander House in which we want to share what God has done with us, with the world. And so it had always been a dream of ours one day to have this physical place, hopefully that resembled a house, to be able to house operations. So underneath the Alexander House, we conduct the marriage disciples process, as Julie has mentioned, which is kind of a peer-to-peer, couple process, helping couples either come to learn and understand about God's plan for marriage, sometimes prepare for marriage. But probably 90% of what we do is rescuing couples, helping couples who are on the brink of divorce to be able to come back and rediscover not only the beauty and love for each other, but again, allowing Christ and God to reside front and center as well.
How do these couples find you if they had never heard of Alexander House?
By the grace of God, and I only say that we have different. We've been on. We had 3 shows on EWTN years ago, but we're on radio shows. We're guests on different platforms, I guess, if you will. And truly, it is just by word of mouth. We have people that we meet with couples all over the world because we do Zoom, and it has literally been. We are blown away by the miracles we see on a daily basis, where these couples come to us, and they've been to traditional counseling. They've been to their families and friends that have all told them, move on, just get over it. You don't need to deal with this anymore. And they come to us, and we fight for their marriage with them and walk with them. And we, on a daily basis, we've met with over 5,000 couples in the past 21 years. 5, and there's only been 37 that we haven't been able to help. Out of 5,000, it's because and those 37 were because they didn't want God. That's all we have to offer. Or they already had somebody else that they weren't willing to get rid of. They were coming to us for a check mark. Every other couple that has heard the message of our story that gives hope and the healing that we take them through, the healing process, it is unbelievable what we've seen. Families coming back together, children being born after they reconcile. I mean, we are in awe every day of what God does through our simple yes. And we always say to people, it's evident that it's God working because we are just it's not you, not two ignorant people that just said, yes, God, we're
I
willing
was
to do
going to
with
say,
us.
speak for yourselves, sweetheart. But no, but what I do
That's
want
what
to
you
say,
are.
because I would love to say we created this
Yeah.
awesome program that's been helping all of these couples literally around the world. But we've just been smart enough not to change what God through the Holy Spirit gave to us. And it's a simple process of coming to understand God's plan for marriage, God's plan for chastity in marriage, the importance of forgiveness and healing in the marriage relationship. What does it mean to be a servant spouse, to die to self for the sake of the other person, which is something else that's typically foreign in a relationship. But again, communication skills and weaving spirituality, prayer throughout the whole process. And it's just been incredible for us to have witnessed so many wonderful reconciliations after sharing with these couples. And again, the couples themselves embracing those truths and inviting God back into the marriage relationship as he was invited there on the wedding day. But unfortunately, many times we leave him at the altar and we go back and we try to live marriage apart from him. It's not the way he intended to live our lives in our marriage. And as a result, we do fail.
The blessings of Zoom has allowed you to reach a worldwide audience. That audience, primarily Catholic couples,
Yes,
all Catholic couples.
90, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was going to say, not all Catholic couples, probably,
Yeah.
again, as you were going to say, about 90% Catholic, because it's kind of where we live, so to speak. But there are interfaith couples that come see us. Sometimes there are both spouses are non-Catholic. And recently we've had a few that were pagans, not even baptized yet, that have come to hear about us. And one gentleman, as we're sitting there, and I asked the question, sir, how did you hear about us? He said, well, from the Yellow Pages. I'm like, we don't have a Yellow Page ad anymore. He said, but that's where I saw it, in the Yellow Pages. I said, well, if that's what God utilized to get you here, then so be it. But
And like you talk about children, adults who have never been baptized. You know, always know that St. Joseph Catholic Church here in Honey Creek will work with you to ensure that each and every child and adult is sacramentalized.
Yes.
You know, and invite them to come to us so we can work on a sacramental program. We talked a while back about reaching out to a certain individual who would like to be part of the Catholic Church. So we are here always to help you bring them in and then sacramentalize them here at our parish.
That's awesome.
With every project, with every new building, with every ministry, money, money, money. How have you survived financially over all these years? And how do you plan to secure this new building, knowing that monies are always involved?
yeah, it's incredible that God's work takes money to operate. So I'm gonna have a conversation when I see him face to face as to why so much money. But it's been truly just a generosity of those who have come to learn about what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Of course, the resources are few in our world in terms of really giving couples that rock solid fullness of the faith, if you will. I want to express that because we don't deviate from any of the teachings of the church, which in my belief is how we were able to come back and many other couples subsequently. But again, those who come to really realize that the nature of the work we do, what the content, if you will, that it just has supported us throughout the years. And it's interesting because when we ran across this property just a little over a month ago, when Julie and I walked into the property, we just knew that this was the place that God was calling us to create this physical place for the Alexander House. And so typically, when looking at a property like this, you have to show proof of funds for a multi-million-dollar property just to walk on property to view it. But Julie, being the salesperson that she is, met with the owner, kind of share with them that, we know this is what God is calling us to. Give us 30 days to raise $1 million. And I'm like trying to go up and catch my breath. And I mean, we had raised $1 million in a 5-year period. How are we going to do it in 30 days? But here we sit today, after just a little over a month, having raised over $1 million for this property. It's just incredible.
And I want to share how that took place because it's an actual miracle and it has to do with this place, St. Joseph's. So I came here on the feast of St. Catherine Drexel because that's who we named Catherine, our Catherine after, because and Greg has always called her the incarnation of our reconciliation because we were not open to life. We had 2 kids on the brink of divorce and done with kids, so we thought. Then we learned what the church taught about chastity and sexuality. So he reversed a vasectomy that he had. We ended up having 5 more children. God's grace is amazing, and we named her Catherine after St. Catherine Drexel. So I came to Mass on St. Catherine Drexel feast day to thank God for the beauty of our restored relationship and our children. And at the end of Mass, I wanted to drive up to the chapel of Immaculate Conception Chapel. The day before, we had had a friend tell us about the amazing understanding of Our Lady of Power that came from France. And it just, the story of that is a miracle in and of itself. But I wanted to go up and thank and just pray and offer everything. And when I was going up to the chapel, I just felt in my heart, I was going to, Mother Mary, Our Lady of Power, we have nothing. We have $0, but we have a desire to bring souls to Christ. That's all we have. And so on the way up there, what I don't know if Greg had told you, but the name of the street was Leroy Scheel Road, S-C-H-E-E-L. And I don't do this kind of thing, but I decided, I wonder who this Leroy Scheel is. So I look him up on the internet. Why would he have a street named after him? So I look up on the internet and there's nothing there. It just has the houses on that street. So I am driving up the hill to the chapel, and it catches my eye, the beautiful cemetery that we have here that I one day want us all to be buried in. I mean, I am rolling my window down, and this is crazy how I am. Greg thinks I'm nuts, but I am driving slowly, and the birds are chirping. The sun is beaming. There's a breeze. It was absolutely beautiful. And I'm praying through the intercession of all those that are in this cemetery. And I'm saying them by name, the Lukes family and the Engel family. And the last headstone was Scheel. S-C-H-E-E-L, the same name as the road. I have, as I do now, chills. I went up to the chapel and I'm bawling my head off, and I'm literally on my knees in the presence of our Lord up in that beautiful chapel that was put there in 1904. I'm saying, Our Lady of Power, I have nothing. We have nothing. We have no money, but we have a desire to bring souls to your son, Jesus. And on the way back down, I was taking a video on my phone and pictures to show Greg when I got home. But I thought, I'm just going to park my van, get out, and go in there. So I lifted up the gate, and I go in there, and I stand in front of their gravesite, and I'm praying to Alex P. and Laura Scheel, who were born in 1895, and they have their little pictures on the grave, and I'm like, okay, Scheels, I'm praying through your intercession. There is something you have to do with all of this. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm praying through your intercession, and I'm just asking you to whisper in God's ear, to tell him to please lead us to the people who have the money to fund this. So I'm leaving the cemetery, going to the right, and at the left of my eye, I catch another tombstone. On the back, the headstone at the bottom says Scheel. I walk all the way around to the other side, and in a year and a half prior, the words came to me, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And I look at their headstone, and at the bottom it says, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And I was like, are you kidding me? No way. I'm just filled with, like, literally, when you heard the shuddering in your bones, I am feeling the Holy Spirit just literally just powerful. There's another Scheel. There's another one. And the last one, as it is in German, Mater and Vater. Mater was Catherine, K-A-T-H-A-R-I-N-E, the way we spell Catherine, the way Mother Drexel spells her name. Nobody spells it that way. You have 50 ways to spell Catherine.
Exactly.
And I am bawling at this point. I go home and I share with Greg, which he thinks I'm nuts already. Yes, I know.
Still do.
And so, this story continues. It's just amazing. So I get home. The next thing, I know it's the short version. He's telling me short version, but there is no short version. So the next Sunday we come to Mass, and it's the story about the woman at the well. And I am in. Again, the story is like, that's our story. That is us. It's like this redemption that we met Jesus at the well when we were looking for all these things, and we weren't being filled, but he gave us life-giving water, and now we put our jars down that were clay jars messed up, turned away from our sin, and went on mission to tell everybody what he did for us, because we met him, the one who knew everything about us. And that day, I'm driving. And I come around here to take our kids and Greg to the cemetery, and this is the human part. Where do we go? Why are we going? Why are we going home? I'm like, oh Lord, just get out of the car. Let me show you. So we get in there.
Don't you love our kids?
And I love our kids. They
Don't
keep
you
it
love our
real.
kids?
They're like, oh, that's spooky. I'm like, this is the safest place we could be on earth right now, is the cemetery.
Exactly.
The souls in here are precious. So I'm showing them, and they're like, wow. We get in the car that day, and I get my phone out of the console. It's a Sunday. I don't get calls on Sunday. I get my phone out, and we have a text from a couple we know who is from France. And they say, we want to be the first ones to donate towards this project, and they wrote a $100,000 check.
Beautiful, 100,000 from
$100,000
France.
from France.
Wow.
I am telling you, and it continues.
That is beautiful.
It doesn't stop. We are not, and what it came to me that day is people are perishing, and I'm gonna cry at this one, because we get calls every day, and there's children attempting suicide. There's the man or the woman is attempting suicide because families are falling apart. And I'm done with just sitting here saying, oh, God, you take care of it. God, what's up to you, God? God's saying, no, you are here to be my hands, my feet, my mouth, all that. We have to do something. And it's marriage and family that's the foundation. And until we fix the domestic church, our church will continue to struggle. Because we are all it is the domestic church that comes to be church. And we all have a part in it. I thought, how amazing is it that it's 4 miles from our home. We put our house on the market Thursday, and it sold in a day. And we don't even have all the funds for this place, but we know that in God's grace and by His mercy and by Him picking two such simple people to do this work, that it is obvious it's Him.
May I ask you, the total, financially, how much will this total project cost? The land, the down payment plus the balance?
$1.4 million.
1.4 million.
So we're right at $1 million now, just a little over $1 million now. So $330,000 to secure the house, and about another approximately $80,000 for furnishings to furnish everything on the property. I say house, but the building, the main office.
And the location will be?
So, oh my gosh, it's Leroy Shield Road. But I don't know. Yes. And we will put that, we'll send it to you.
Beautiful. So audience, those of you joining us live and live stream, if you know anyone in your families, your friendships, your neighbours who may have struggles in their marriage, who may be battling demons, in their marriage, please call our office. We will pass on your information to Julie and Greg. They have saved many marriages over the last 20 years. And anyone out there who would like to help financially, this awesome couple, we are still short about 300,000. So any dollar would be greatly appreciated to help Greg and Julie in their ministry, not just to build marriages, but to save marriages. So we are so blessed. We could talk here for hours. We see providence and grace very much at work in your lives. And as we celebrate the life of St. Conrad, today's solemnity, we invoke his intercession to watch over you both in the journey that lies ahead. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you, please God, next week. God love you. God bless you.
Thank you.